All right, thank you for joining us for another Carnegie Spotlight Hour. My name is Jason Strong, Director of the Fairfield Media Center and President of the Carnegie Historical Museum Board. I am joined today by John Godwin, our Carnegie Historical Museum volunteer and former board member, as well as Brittany Tiller, President of the Carnegie Museum Foundation. Hopefully I got your title right. I am always confused whether or not to leave the historical part off or not.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
But now there's been a lot of things going on over at the museum, and we're actually making a slight change to one of our feature shows that we do over there, the Carnegie Family Farm series.
Yeah, probably one of the big features that we started about 4 years ago now, maybe a little over, and it's probably helped the museum more than we all know. I mean, I know
it brings in a lot of foot traffic.
And that's the family farms presentations we have. We're still looking for family farms of 50 years plus the golden families, so we can celebrate those families with a display and then have a presentation as we do on First Friday Art Walks. So.
And those displays, I want to say, they're up for a month.
For a month, yeah.
So and it's a lot of fun seeing those displays come together. The family gets involved, and then we have volunteers that also help out and put that display together.
Right, and we're shifting a bit. We have 2 display cabinets up there. So the board decided we were going to every other month do a series on Fairfield manufacturers.
Yep.
So now we're going to stagger those every other month of our Friday night art walk, and it's going to be pretty cool. The first one's going to be December 5th, and Pete Nelson of the Nelson Company is going to be giving a presentation that evening, talking about the history of Nelson Company, and it's going to be pretty cool. We've had him in for a lunch and learn. Yeah,
a very popular lunch and learn. It was very, very well attended, and
absolutely,
and it was great to see him kind of step up to the plate and say, "Yeah, well, it's all fresh in my mind. Might as well do it again."
You know what? And people have missed it, so you might as well come and see it again. So.
Exactly, because those lunch and learns, they're kind of geared for members of your friends in the museum, and. But they are open to open to the public for a small door fee, so to speak, or not a door fee. It's a donation. Of, I believe, $5. But here's an opportunity to come in the door, see that same presentation that was given for free. Come with a large group. They're on art walks, and you get to explore the museum afterwards a little bit.
That's right, because they will have a display, like we said, on the 3rd floor for a month as well. Probably 2 months, actually, because we're going to be staggering it. So it's going to be pretty neat to get some manufacturers in there as well. We are going to take a break January, February, March from the presentations, but back in April we'll be back, and we'll do our farm and then our manufacturing presentations every other month.
So
pretty excited.
Lots of things happening here. Lots of easy ways to get in touch with the museum and find out what's going on here. So
that's right.
Speaking of what's going on here, we have our guest today, Brittany Tiller, president of, again, the Carnegie Museum Foundation. So
that's right, and we welcome you. We thank you for having. We talked about having you on last time when I butchered your name and kept calling you by your maiden name. I hope you didn't see that. But
I don't even think I even notice anymore. It's fine.
So, Brittany, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're originally from, your occupation, if that's okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm born and raised here in Fairfield. Lived here almost my entire life, but moved away to go to college. And then my husband and I moved back about 10 years ago. And one of the first things I did when moving back was join the Carnegie Museum Foundation as a board member. So that was, almost 10 years ago now. And it's been really fun to see the transformation of the foundation and also the museum over the last 10 years. It's been a huge change. So that's been really fun.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
What made you want to become a board member?
Well, my mom was on the foundation and she said, I think that you'd really like this. We only meet 4 times a year for about an hour. It's really low. I'm like, low, you don't need to do that much. And I'm like, sure, I could do that. And then there I am, like a year later in midnight, writing a grant or typing. And I'm like, I thought she said only 4 times a year.
I was going to say the recruiting process is almost all lies.
Yeah. So, but it was my own mom. But no, I really, really have enjoyed it. Obviously, I'm still on 10 years later, and there's a lot of really awesome people that are connected to the museum. And selfishly, I have learned so much through the process, but it's also really fun to be a part of something where you're constantly looking at things and being like, that's a pretty big thing. Let's go ahead and tackle it. And then seeing the progress happen. So it's been a rewarding one. I joke about getting on board, but I would do it again and again.
No, it really is one of those really rewarding things.
Yeah.
And it's surprisingly more rewarding than what you even think it's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, to like what your mom said, well, it's only, you know, 4 times a year, we meet for an hour or whatever, you know, type thing. And that's the thing, though. You get on and you see all the things that need to happen or things like that. And then once you get the ball rolling, it's like, oh, well, this needs to happen because that happened. And this, and it does. It kind of snowballs.
It does. It's a good snowball.
It's a very good snowball because the museum has grown leaps and bounds over the last several years.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
And I'm sure your mother still likes it. As she's on the board
She's
still.
on. She's
Lori Fry.
Yeah, Lori Fry. She she's been on long enough that she's lost track. So that's a long time. And she's about ready to hand the reins over too. But yeah, she was the one who told me the same thing. She said it really is a rewarding board to be on, and she was right.
Right. Well, that's great. Do you remember the first time you visited it as a child? Because we used to take, you know, Fairfield used to have field trips there. We still do, actually.
I have very faint memories so I would have been like 6 or 7 when the new library opened. So I have very faint memories of the kids' room, the reading room, and then the buffalo at the top of the stairs. So those are my probably 2 very faint memories of that. And then actually when I was in college, I came back when the foundation had just kind of, they were still in there, like, get the word out about who we are and what we're doing. And so they hosted a pancake breakfast in the street, and they had those people come in that flipped the pancakes like really high. And so that was my first exposure to the foundation. And I'm like, well, these people seem pretty fun.
Fairfield really likes having pancakes out in the street.
Yeah.
We do that for kids' days.
Yeah.
Do you remember coming into the museum as an adult and realizing what all we had in there?
Yeah. So,
or was the bottom
right.
Fairfield, Jefferson County part, the herring room, was that accomplished by the time you were?
No.
Okay.
No. When I first came back then as an adult, I walked around and I had no idea that I don't remember going up to the museum at all as a kid. Not that I didn't, I just don't remember that. And so I just remember thinking, this is an amazing collection. But I also remember thinking, it's such an amazing collection, but there's also some low-hanging fruit, some ways that we could maybe, get involved and help, display those things a little bit better or have some interpretation with it or that sort of thing. But I just remember as an adult thinking, this is an unbelievable collection. I have a background, I love the earth sciences. So like the fossils were really fun. The Native American artifacts were really intriguing to me. And so, there's just some really unbelievable things there.
Every time I go in there, I see something different.
Yeah.
First time I remember going up when I was a kid, like for a field trip, and they didn't never let us in the second half of that part where there was a 300-seat auditorium. I never knew that there was a 300-seat auditorium at one time.
It was still there.
It was there, but they had it blocked off because they didn't want all those little kids running all around.
I feel left out now because while my parents are from here, I was born and raised up in Des Moines. And so by the time I got here, and in high school, they were already kind of planning to build the new library. So I actually never set foot in here when this was still the Carnegie Library. Yeah. Unfortunately, I got to know it after that.
Sure.
But no, it's interesting that you say that was a blocked off.
Yeah.
Because even by the time I started coming here, that was no longer an auditorium. That had already been transformed and things of that nature. So, but no, there's so many things that when I started to get involved here, that you find out how many items the museum actually has, and how much of it is unseen.
Right.
Because there's just not enough room to display it all.
Right. I'm going to turn this on him because we're interviewing the board presidents right now. And Jason, you are a city board president. I just want to ask you what made you want to become a board member.
Oh, what made me want to become a board member?
Were you tricked as well?
Well, I don't know if I was
his arm was
tricked
twisted.
necessarily, but no, I knew Mark Schaefer for a very long time. He was my art teacher in high school. And so I already had a relationship with Mark. And then being a part of the public access station, doing kind of what we're doing here, and then being involved in the Fairfield history documentary series with Fairfield Productions and Dick DeAngelis, doing that deep dive into history. History was already something I liked growing up and learning about in school anyway. And so just the combination of a lot of different factors kind of fell into that. And I saw the museum doing a lot of active things. Like I said, a lot of growth over the last couple of years. I took notice of that. I saw that this was becoming a very happening place, and so through all those other connections, just talking to other board members, talking to Jake, and things like that, one thing led to another, and
here we are.
Exactly.
Well, very nice. I'll turn it back to Brittany now because the rest of the questions are for her. So, as the Carnegie board, the foundation board president, opposed to the city board president, what's the difference between the two boards? The responsibilities, tasks.
Yeah.
Because people wonder, why are there two different boards?
Yeah, it's kind of funny how often we hear, like, why don't you just combine? Well, it's because we have two very distinct roles. So obviously I kind of like to call it the city board, but not everybody likes that, but it works in my brain. But I've been trying to
it does. It makes it very simple.
Yeah, I've been trying to kind of overhaul it. But so obviously the Carnegie Historical Museum Board falls under the umbrella of the city of Fairfield. Mm-hmm. So if you go up the ladder, the city council is above that board. And so their funding comes from the city, and they are appointed by the city. And then our role, and they do more day-to-day, they're making the decisions on how the museum is operating and that sort of thing. And then the foundation is a 501c3, so we are a nonprofit, private entity, and so we technically, I mean, I'm sure the IRS is above us. There's all sorts of people above us, but
everybody answers to somebody.
Everybody answers to somebody. But in theory, we're kind of our own entity over here. And so when we kind of made the delineation between the two, the foundation really looked at big picture projects. And so, and we don't only help the Carnegie. They're probably, the biggest thing in our mission, the biggest entity that we like to help. But there are other historical nonprofits that we can help under this kind of umbrella that we provide. But we kind of do big picture and fundraising. So the great thing is that if someone wants to donate toward the museum or toward the Bonfield Cabin or some other historical entity, then they can donate to the foundation and we can earmark it for these projects. And we don't run on a fiscal year like the city or government entities do. We can roll that over. So, that really gives the museum some freedom to say, hey, this is a project that we need to do. We have the funds now, but we're not actually ready to do that. Or, hey, we're dreaming about this. How can we get this? So there's a lot more flexibility. So really the foundation elevates what the museum is doing. We work really closely with the city, but we are separate. So we try, and there's a really happy medium in there that I feel like we do a good job of. Both boards work really well together, but we also really try and stay in our own lanes. So we're not stepping on what their board is doing, and they're enhancing what our board is doing, or vice versa. So yeah, I mean, to get rid of, or you could never combine boards because that would be illegal.
Separation of public and private.
Yeah, but really, by having both boards are elevated, is kind of how I like to think of it.
Very nice, very nice. I know that the board has done some big capital projects. What are, speaking of the windows that we just had done, what are some other ones and the windows that you've done since you came on board? Yeah,
so that's what as I was kind of thinking, getting ready for this, I was thinking about how Really the big change, I wouldn't say change, but when the foundation hit a different gear was back in 2018. We had the structural analysis. So the city and the foundation worked together. They hired a firm to come in and do a structural analysis of the building. And they looked at, really our question was, we know there's some major things that need to be done on this building. It's worth repairing, right? You know, like, because you got to be careful of what you're putting your money into.
It's an older building.
Yeah.
And older buildings, they can be very expensive to maintain.
Yeah. And so, and we wanted to have that question answered for our donors. You know, we don't want you to donate to something that's a sinking ship. But they came back and they're like, yeah, this is a structurally sound building. It is definitely worth doing the work. I wouldn't say the bad news is, but the second half of the news is there is some work to do. And so through that, they outlined everything that needed to be done. And then they helped break it down into phases. And really what we did was like, let's go for the least expensive, least involved projects first. And let's get some momentum going. And then we're going to build to these more difficult ones. So from 2008, when we did the study, to 2024, really when we wrapped everything up, there was a new elevator cart that was put in. The front steps had to be redone and stabilized. The southwest corner of the building had to be stabilized. New windows, tuck pointing, brick repair, and parapet. Never knew what that word was, but that's that decorative finish on the top. It was not stable.
Kind of crown.
Yeah, so that all was redone. So when you look back, you're like, that's an unbelievable amount of work, well over $1 million. That was fundraised from our community and different grants. So that was really, I mean, if you think about it, you're talking about a volunteer board that's gets this report back, and it's like, whoa, this is pretty major. But just like Joe Hunt says, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So we just one bite at a time kept going. And it was true that momentum really did help move us forward. The support from our community was awesome. So, and from the city as well, they helped in a lot of ways too. So that was neat.
That is good. It's all volunteer work. I mean, pretty much, mostly. So,
I mean, Fairfield's got a good volunteer base.
Yeah.
And we knew the building was sound when we heard it. It had only been tuck pointed one time in over 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a solid building.
Now, do you remember how old the building actually is? I can't think of it. I know it's over 100 years old.
I know 1868 is on the
And I think 1873 is maybe... I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on that. But it's old. It's old.
Yeah. None of us know how old the building is.
Yeah. So we could do trivia next time. But anyway, so that was really exciting to see, for them to come back and say, I mean, they were very impressed. Like I mean, you've got some things you got to work on, but this is a good building, and you guys can, get this restored on the exterior. So that was really what the focus was the exterior renovation, get everything. But they did say also, this is good timing because these problems need to get addressed. And if they would have went 10, 15, 20 more years, you're talking about exterior problems becoming interior problems as well. So it was good timing as well.
Very nice. What's some of the new current projects? I drove up to the building today, and there's a sign out front. What are we talking about for a capital project?
Thanks, Traffics, for printing that, and Russ Cooper for hanging that. So as the first capital campaign was winding down, we kind of started saying, okay, we've got good momentum. What's next? And there's always another project. But we wanted to do the same process. We had learned that starting with the plan and then doing some phases, helping donors understand fiscal responsibility is really important to us. So we don't want to work on a project that in 15 years, we got to tear that all out because we got to use it for something else. So we wanted to look at the long term, and we wanted, again, both boards to work together. So we created a committee that had members from both boards and also invited the city for their participation to say, okay, let's look at like 50 years, 100 years from now. It's really hard to tell what the world's going to look like, but let's kind of think long term and then let's work backwards. And so they came in and they did what's called an existing conditions report. Never heard of that in my life either. And they really looked at everything in the building. They looked at electrical, plumbing, HVAC, fire codes.
They were very, very, very thorough.
Yeah.
I sat
Yes.
on that subcommittee.
Yeah.
And so there was an amazing amount of detail.
Yeah. And so what they did is they looked at the building and they said, okay, what are our problems? And then, so I would say we actually had two main questions, like, what do we need to address in the interior of our building to get us where we want to be long-term? And then our second question was, Jake really wants a roof back on, and I do too. And can we do that? Can we put a replica of the original roof back on? Because I think a lot of people forget that it was taken off. And if you look at the old pictures of it, it still is a beautiful building, but that roof makes the building. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. So our question was, it was taken off because the building was sinking in the southwest corner. Can we put a roof back on? We better figure that out before we start fundraising for it.
Right.
So the structural engineer came back and signed off on all of the work that has been done prior. And he said, yeah, this building is solid. The work that was done, it hasn't moved since it was stabilized in the 1940s. So yeah, you could put a replica back on. And so that idea helped kind of form our next phase, if you want to call it, our next major project, which would be putting the roof back on. That's phase one, because that's the cheapest. That's the cheapest project we have. And then the end goal is like, how do we stay relevant, but keep this building as historically accurate? Like, to me, that's really important. I want to see things back to original as much as possible. Okay, well, that would mean no air conditioning, and that would mean no bathrooms, and I'm a big fan of both. So how do we do this and keep it as historical as possible, but still be logical?
I think that's one of the things people don't realize. The building wasn't designed and built with bathrooms.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't like even compute
Yeah.
in most people's brains. Like, what do you mean you built a building without bathrooms? Like
no indoor plumbing. So
and that's really hard to add in after the fact.
Yes. And that's really what the existing conditions report came back and said, we could cobble this building up and we could add bathrooms in on every floor. We could address some of these major, I wouldn't say major, but there are definitely some things that as we move forward with a potential renovation, we need to address, like egress from the building. There needs to be a second very safe fire escape. And so there's different things like that. And really what they came up with was the best way to keep the building historically accurate and still address these problems is let's add an addition on the north side of the building. And what that will accomplish is stairs, bathrooms, and then also access up to that attic that we're adding back in. And then long term, not going to take an elevator out. That is useful. I think people kind of hear that and they get a little nervous. But eventually, when the elevator is done, it's probably not in the best location. It really changes the feel of the front of the building and it kind of limits what we can do. So there will be an elevator shaft in the addition that will literally be empty until it's ready for use. And then that elevator shaft would allow access all the way up to the attic as well. So I just appreciated when they did that presentation. I went home that night and I was so excited because everything that they had suggested I didn't even really think it was possible. Like they were coming up with solutions to problems that had never crossed my mind.
Yeah, they looked at like so many different combinations of where, like once the current elevator was to retire, where would be the better place to put a new elevator?
Yeah.
You know, like they were going into that much detail.
Yeah.
And they really did a thorough job.
Yeah. And they were studying historical pictures and saying like, well, we'd put this wall back. And I'm like, put that wall back? There's never a wall there. And then they bring up the historic picture that I'd never seen before. And I'm like, they're right. There was a wall there. So they used the original blueprints. They used historical photographs. And they put together, in my opinion, just an unbelievably sound document for us to work off of. And so that's really where we're at now is fundraising to get the roof back on. But I think it's important for people to see, like, we're not just cherry picking the next project. There has been a lot of time by both boards working together to craft this plan moving forward. And I'm really excited to see it happen. We're not that far. I mean, we're at the beginning of the fundraising, but time goes fast. It's going to be here before we know it.
Things fly by, and before you even realize it, that you're on to the next step.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And how can people donate to the project?
Yeah. So right now we have we kind of call it our legacy giving. It's a little bit, it's basically any amount you want to give. Little small amounts make huge differences. So, people like me who don't have as much to give, like, it's still great to be a part of it. And so you can just donate to the Carnegie Museum Foundation. If you want to give in memory of someone, or you have a larger amount, anything over $1,000 is added to our donor wall. And we do keep track, like, year to year. So say you give $500 one year and $500 the next year, then that's $1,000 and you're going to be on the board. So if you're interested in that, there's the donor wall, which is right inside the building when you come in there. But yeah, just donating to the Carnegie Museum Foundation, you can go to the website. You can drive by the front of the museum and scan that QR code. Talk to Jake or Charlotte, that we have mailers on site there that they can fill out the paperwork. So
very nice. And some of the people may have got a mailer in the past couple months. I know we sent some out. Yeah.
And if people, are listening to this and they're thinking, gosh, this is news to me, I haven't heard any of this, I would encourage you to actually reach out to us and tell us, and we will add you to the mailing list. And so that helps us as well. That's kind of another thing that we've been trying to do on the back end of things, is build a good mailing list so we can help get the word out to people who are interested in this sort of thing.
Very nice.
Well, and I know trying to get the word out is one of those things everybody's struggling with radio stations and newspapers and the rise of social media and all that. There's so many different outlets now that it's almost impossible to hit them all.
Yes.
That's why we're doing this right now.
Exactly. That's part of the reason why we're doing this, is to help get the word out.
Yeah.
And I know donations, now I know we've gone from 150 a year to 5,000 people in the last 5 years visiting the museum.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jake Schmidt and Charlotte Wright probably need some help. They need some volunteers. Sometimes you can send a donation and earmark it towards staff or things that they need to help them.
For sure. Yeah. If there's something, that is a passion for someone, earmark that donation. And we do, I'm not the one who does this, so I can say we do a great job of tracking it and making sure it does go toward what you're interested in. Or let's say you're like, I don't need my money to go to to this. I want it to go to an immediate display project or whatever. You can make that, and we'll definitely honor that. And but there's always a need in a museum.
There's always a project going on.
I mean, we could go to 10,000 people in the next 10 years, or coming in per, and it's pretty exciting, especially with all our new additions we hope to be getting soon.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add about being on the foundation board, or any recruitment, or how does one get on a foundation board? I guess that's a question I probably should have asked, or a city board.
Yeah, both. Our foundation, we're pretty.
Is there a certain number, a cap number?
Yeah. We have. We are between 7 and 9 board members that we maintain, and I don't know what you guys.
I want to say we're 7.
Yeah.
As well. I think we have a few ex officio members.
Yeah.
But I want to say there's a cap of 7, which I think is the same number that they have for every city-oriented board.
Yeah.
So,
and I would say, if you're interested, to me, the best thing to do would actually first, go take a tour with Jake if you haven't done that, and then hear what's going on, and then either start volunteering, or maybe the city, the Carnegie Historical Museum board meetings are open to the public. Yep. So you could go and listen and see what's going on and kind of get a feel for it that way, to see, because like you've experienced this, John. Sometimes, and this has happened more than once, is people will jump on a board and then they'll realize, actually, I just really like volunteering, and I have some friends who have done the same thing. They've gotten on boards. Yes. Oh, wait, hang on. I kind of just want to actually do the work behind the scenes and not necessarily do that. And so I think that's important to see. And every board is different, how they operate and how often they meet and that sort of thing. So
I know on the city board side, that's part of the reason why we kind of have what we call intern board members. And those are people, they've shown interest in being on the board. They've shown interest in history, or they volunteered, or things of that nature. They can kind of unofficially sit in on the meetings because they're members of the public. It's open to the public. And they can get a feel for, am I going to be a good fit for this board?
Yeah.
Or is it just, I want to volunteer and not coming to that realization yet? And so, and we've gotten, I want to say, our last 3 board members doing that technique, and they've all fit very well so far. And so it's just a matter of, I think, of reaching out, letting the boards know I have an interest.
Yeah.
And then, we could suggest, hey, volunteer a little bit first, come sit in, on maybe the city board meeting.
Yeah.
Just to get a feel, so even if they're interested in the foundation board, it still gives them a feel.
Yeah.
And go from there. So I know we're pretty laid back. We're pretty easygoing.
Yeah.
We do tackle a lot here and there, but yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you have a mom on one of the boards, that might help too.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much for stopping in. We talked about having you come in, and it's already been our best podcast because we've learned so much.
I think so. There's been a lot of good information.
I got a couple other housekeeping notes, but otherwise, I'm pretty fulfilled for the night. So just want to let everybody know we are taking reservations now for the next year's class reunions. Fairfield High School, Pekin High School, Libertyville High School, Lockridge.
I don't think we'll really turn anyone down at this point.
So. Right. But it gives you a place to come in and you can gather. We have all the Fairfield High School yearbooks, so we can get that out and you can reminisce if you don't have your own.
And we've had a couple of really large class reunions come through the museum.
Right. And then you have free reign at the museum. You go up and see the buffalo head.
Go explore everything.
Go look at all the things. Jake or whoever's there can help give you a tour and all that.
He might even be willing to give you a behind the scenes tour. He pulls people in the back rooms occasionally and gives them a sneak peek.
Every time I give a tour, I sneak people back to see the Sunset Roller Rink lights and say how we're going to get those put up sometime, which we need to put that in our donation.
In one of our grant requests.
That's right. We're also looking for past elementary yearbooks. I know we have the Carnegie Historical Museum, the Fairfield High School, and the library, Fairfield Public Library, have all of the Fairfield High School yearbooks. But elementary yearbooks, Little League yearbooks for Washington, Lincoln, Roosevelt, Pence, just all those we'd love to have. Because there's a lot of kids that we grew up with and then they move away.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, remember that guy, my guy or gal? And so it'd be nice to have. And we could document that they lived here.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody famous that lived here.
I mean, some of that even comes out of the all the photos that we got from the ledger.
Right.
From the ledger clothes, you're flipping through all those photos, we're trying to identify them. Oh, yeah, so-and-so used to live here. And that,
Yeah, as well as like
it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Fairfield Middle School, Fairfield Junior High yearbooks as well. So, I mean, if you're done using them and they're just sitting around, we'd love to have them at the museum. And then for a fun Christmas card idea, guys, I know that you just talked about the buffalo head while we were speaking.
Yeah.
Joe Hunt, one of our board members, he had his family get a picture taken, and we'll probably get on Facebook pretty soon, last year with his family with the buffalo head.
Yeah.
That'd be a great Christmas card idea if someone out there hasn't got their Christmas card.
Yeah.
And we just had that refurbished a couple of years ago too, so it's looking all fresh and good. We just had the light fixture up above fixed, so it's no longer flickering. You'd be able to get a really nice picture. And
just make sure you call Jake first, because of course Indian Hills is on that floor. We don't want to disturb them as we're getting. But he could set something up where your family could come even on weekends, probably, knowing Jake.
Right, exactly.
So and just one more thing, we are located. The Carnegie Historical Museum is at 112 South Court Street in Fairfield, Iowa. It's in the southeast corner, 1 block south of the Fairfield Square.
Yep.
We're open Tuesday through Thursday, 11 to 4, and we're open on First Friday Art Walks from 6 to 9 as well. Our website, it's pretty new yet, probably 6 months old, I imagine. CarnegieHistoricalMuseum.com. And Jake Schmidt is our museum curator, and you can contact him at 641-472-6343. And that's all I had for tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say, check us out on social media. I think we're on just about every single one of them right at the moment. And thank you for joining us. This has been an absolute pleasure having the foundation president along here with us, making for better conversation.
We got
the two of us.
both the presidents on now. We're going to try to get a board member on every time or every other time.
Just
to see it.
We might have to bend Jake's arm. Jake,
we'll have to trick him again.
Cameras are
you should get
thing.
Gloria on here too as the past foundation president, because she would have some great knowledge
get into the nitty-gritty
details. She might correct some things that I said wrong, so she'd probably know. What was the question we didn't know?
How old is the actual board?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go with 1873.
Plus it's on the website. I just saw it today. So
yes,
it
should be on the website.
Yeah,
from the guy who made the website.
Yeah. Hey, you just put it on there. You don't have to know it. That's why you put it on the website.
Exactly.
So you can check it.
Then we can go on and check it. Again, head to the website, check us out, come see us in person. Jake would love to give you a tour. And we will see you guys next month for another Carnegie Spotlight.